7. Welcome, my peoples, and we are back with another timely episode of my talkative sessions, the Spiritual Hygiene podcast. And we're here at episode 7, and the topic of today's conversation is illusions. Now, once again, let me state the disclaimer. I'm merely reciting my own trials and tribulations, giving my viewpoints on the current spiritual climates within the world today. Yeah? Plain and simple, eat the meat and spit out the bones. But enough talking. Let me cross my little legs with my flared joggers and let's get into the nitty gritty. Now today, as I stated, illusions. Now one must ask, what are you actually talking about, my bro? What is an illusion and what can one actually call reality? Now this will be targeted towards the narcissistic community, because you know a narcissist, they spin so many lies that it becomes the truth and much more. They can't spin the same lie, and once you start lying, you can't stop. But the easiest thing one can do is just tell the truth. But that's neither here nor there. The topic of conversation is illusions. Now, it kind of correlates to yesterday's message. Yesterday, I mean episode 6, the MK Ultrinians and the child traffickers, because mind control, alternate realities, you know, that old chestnut. But we're here to where, look, let's say, you know, continuously there's so much regurgitation where it's like, look, this person claims you, or the word on the curb could be, you are an item with a said individual XYZ. Now, let's say the reality of all realities, so exclude social media, exclude what your desire may be, and I'll put it point blank like this. Let's say, for instance, hypothetically, I only mate with melanated females. Let's say hypothetically that is the case. Now, could you imagine if there was someone that was either involved in the MK Ultra program or merely knows of it, doesn't speak on it, and just watches people idly, you know, go by, but they've, what's the word I'm looking for? They've claimed you in a sense. So let's say somebody's like, yes, you're mine, you're meant to be mine, and XYZ, blah, 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 blah. Now, bearing in mind, I'm an individual, I'm not racist. There's even the melanated gal them that gun me. Look at you, you'll have white gal, and all of them sort of things there. But I'm saying, isn't this a bit far-fetched where somebody can either capture a desire, or let's even say if somebody was paid to come in and whatever. But as I stated, one only mates with melanated females. And this individual ran with this illusion, spreaded that to somebody else. So let's say if you now then are employing people to stalk your, I don't know what you think that is, but it's all based on a lie. And that's where it's like it's entering mental disorders, demonic slash demonic possession. Because how would one just assume let's say hypothetically, even if God said, yo, that's your gal, he also gave you free will. So how can one just assume automatically this individual will accept me or take me as their daily beloved? Now I want to talk more on illusion, because that in itself is an illusion. But could you imagine paying individuals to stalk an individual? You've now automatically ended up in Balamori. What's the story in Balamori? Where'd you like to love? With bare colourful houses. Now, here I am of sound mind, knowing the actual truths of reality. And it's like, what do you do? Do you entertain the circus, or just reclude yourself, regardless of what outside influences or third parties, fourth, fifth and sixth would think? But then it's not just that, it's more there's groups, demographics of people that prey upon people who they feel like is vulnerable. And I said this earlier to an individual. I said, listen, you know the old saying, play fool to catch wise. Now I'm not going to say, but you don't know who you are. I took you and sat you lot down. Regardless of all that was occurring behind closed doors. But then one has to one has to ask, who was living in reality and who was living in illusion? In a illusion. Was it an illusion that I could have been murdered, or I would have gone for the old okie doke, or I was ever in the sunken place? Or was the reality of the matter that each and every individual that I've come across that was working against me and the progress of my life's journey upon earth realm, I told them verbatim, either you're a demon, you're in a sex occult, this, that, X, Y, Z, blasey, blasey, blah, so forth and so forth. Now, regardless of if individuals have taken an oath, I've not. Let your yea be a yea, let your nay be a nay. I can speak freely. They can't. Their protection might go up, you have to leave them. I can speak. So, like I said, the easiest thing for somebody to do is to tell the truth. And prevention's better than cure. I also have a favourite saying, example's the only way in influencing. So I just tell people, yo, you're a freak as well. You gonna suck these toes. Let me go, you bloody toes. The barefooted, you feel like red boy. I forget. But so you tell these individuals the truth, and regardless of whether they want to hear or forbear. Remember, stiff-necked people, some people are not even the list goes on. But yet still, in Jamaica we say they're hard of hearing, and they continue on with the illusion. And it all boils down, we can correlate it to episode 1, true spirituality, to where, what's the driving force behind these people? A principality, a demon, a spirit, an angel, a spirit guide, an ancestor. What is it? But nevertheless, the driving force behind them is driving an illusion. So, let's say for instance, you know that alignment, you know in the spiritual community they say alignment. Is that person in alignment, or are they somewhere on episode 21 of Balamori Street with the pink house? whilst, not to like big up myself, me, I've told you verbatim what it is, where I stand, what's what, from day one. I'm continuously in aligning. There's no slipping and sliding. It's just mind out. It's like, imagine stepping into my circumference, yeah, but your head is sideways, this, upside down, but round there we're just straightforward geezers. And you step in like this, your whole world is getting turned upside down. And now, because you're used to living in Balamuri, doing nonsensical things, in illusions, you're trying to keep up an illusion in reality, which can't run. And that's when people start to project, yeah bro, oh, you're this, you're that, you're this. But if that was the case, you would not have tried to project yourself into my circumference, into my reality with your bunch of illusions. Huh? Hey boy. No, but I'm trying to get, once again, not philosophical, but I'm truly trying to, you know, I'll give another example. Look, now, the reality of it is, let's say for instance, the scenario that I'm in today. I was teeth, all of that, yeah, cool. Now, there's a demographic of people that we, as I stated, we don't share the same blood. Now, could you imagine, my whole life I've told people these people are not my people. Unconsciously, whilst also consciously in the latter years. Now, throughout, everybody knew this. You get me? But there was individuals that would have played in my face in an illusion, whilst regardless of if I was conscious or unconscious, I was speaking the truth, the thing that's the easiest in actuality, the actual reality. Because remember, there's only one thing that's eternal, and it's the truth. Not the magic coated lie, the eternal truth. But not once did anybody, you know, want to correlate the truth with me, or elaborate, or validify it for me. They acted. They would have rather embraced the illusion and invested their whole life in an illusion. And what I've come to realize is that everybody that did that, not to be boastful, but I'm still here, healthy, in my right mind, able to correlate myself wonderfully of all my experiences, the endeavors that I've found myself in. Whilst there was individuals that I truly loved and cared for, but it most certainly wasn't the same, that looked me in my face and lived in an illusion. They lived on episode 1 of Balamori Street, episode 7, episode 54. And regardless of whatever these individuals deem as happiness or successful in life, a lot of individuals fell by the wayside. Now regardless, the enemy kept coming in, the adversary of my soul. He can't take away my soul, like, you're mad. Move. You know, and I found myself in scenarios where I was almost susceptible to just, you know what, let me give in to the illusion. But the greatest thing one can do is stand in your truth unapologetically and continue to stand in your truth. Now, I want to continuously correlate back to illusions and reality. The illusion is that those who thought they can take my life for things that were mine, or pay, do curses, do the whole 9 yards against someone that's unbeknownst, that they have no knowledge of half of these things. The scriptures, the book of Cersei says, a curse not caused can't come. You know. So, as I stated, a lot of people that I've met upon my life's journey was part and parcel with child trafficking, MK Ultra, pedophilia, child pornography, the whole 9 yards, but yet they live an alternate life. So is your whole existence an illusion? But regardless of that, regardless of all that I'm saying, we do live in a world where that is the reality, and some people can't live in an eternal truth, even though they can, but they just keep quiet about it. But as I say, prevention is better than cure, and example is the only way in influencing. And I've come to find out that a lot of people, instead of bringing awareness to scenarios and situations that's the actuality of our reality, they'd rather kill you and take what's yours. Luckily, my whole life, ground thunder, I'm actually Wolverine. Do you get it? And I'm the most highest warrior. And everybody in the illusion that, you know, counted me out or wanted me dead or damn son, yo, brazy, moo. But I just think you was living in an illusion, because you know me and the Most High like this. You know we do the American pinky swears and So how could you doubt, man? It's just money is truly the root of all evil. But one must render what's to Caesar, and to the Most High what's to the Most High. You can't love two masters, and I know who I love. Do you get me? It's like, so one must come to a point in their life, yeah, where are you gonna live in reality or choose the illusion? It's crazy because my whole life I thought I was living in reality, even though I was, but I doubted myself. I more lived in reality, doubted my actuality, and received the projection of other people's illusions upon me, which dampened me, weakened me, whilst they used me as the anchor. Now, I say, unapologetically, I must live in the authenticity and the true calling of my life's purpose here upon this plane for the Most High. And for those of like mind. Because listen, it's truly simple to be either an upright person, to speak the truth, to just not lie, treat people how you want to be treated, and quit the nonsense. So then that way you don't ever fall into any illusions and you live in constant alignment. You're in reality. You're not living in the past, in the future. You're in the present. You're of sound mind. Do you get me? So it's like, my whole life, some might say you've been living in an illusion. But the book of Cersei says, greater is he who's in you than he who's in the world. And my whole life, I knew this truth that those in my circumference weren't telling me, my outside influences weren't telling me, the authorities weren't telling me, but I knew. So I wouldn't say to totality lived according to my actuality, but what I would say is I did do it to the best of my ability. Not even to the best of my ability, but at all times you can say I was in alignment. But listen, my peoples, yeah, what I am going to do is just keep it short and sweet. I think this is going to be the shortest ever episode, but I'll make it up on episode 8. But that was episode 7 of my talkative session, spiritual hygiene, and your main illusions.